As it stands, you guys, I am currently working on the trim and the ruffles, but let me give you an update. If you're new here, I'm making the green barbecue dress from Gone with the Wind in literally 6 days for an event that happens tomorrow. But this morning I was a little stressed because the fabric and the trim that I ordered for the belt and the ribbons was not to be delivered until like 9 p.m. tonight. And so I had to run out to the stores in Atlanta. I only found green velvet fabric, no trim. So I looked at Amazon again, and lo and behold, my order got delivered while I was out. Of course it did. Clearly, I didn't need to stress, but you know what? It's okay. Now I'll have to make something out of green velvet. So we'll deal with that later. Next, it's on to the belt, the beautiful green velvet belt that Scarlett wears in the movie. It's got some gorgeous boning in it, and you know how the thing goes, guys. We just sew and sew and sew, and sometimes, at some point, you just become one with the sewing machine. Velvet can be a very difficult fabric to work with, so we like to pin it. I love to pin the heck out of my velvet. And you know I'm a stickler on ironing things, but do not iron your velvet unless you have an appropriate iron pad, an iron board for the velvet specifically. If you iron velvet, you will lose the fluffiness of it. So back to the sewing machine we go. And honestly, I had the best time making this velvet belt. Like there's some parts of this dress where I was like, oh my God, it will never end. The skirts. But making the belt was so much fun today. I was like, oh, I feel reinvigorated. This is the point where you can kind of see it all coming together. Like there is a light at the end of the tunnel. I say this because I still have to do I left the most difficult and most time-consuming things last, but that's okay. Look at how gorgeous this belt turned out. The instructions called for a 4-inch ribbon, but if you didn't have a 4-inch ribbon, you can just make your own bow. So that's what we're gonna do, guys. I'm like so excited about it. Like velvet bows, velvet ribbon, velvet anything. It's my favorite, but God, it is difficult to sew. I like to alternate my pins, crisscross wise, diagonal, whatever helps to make sewing velvet easier. It kind of blows my mind that this is a fabric that was like incredibly popular in the Middle Ages. And here I am just like throwing it under a sewing machine and being like, why don't you sew right? It's because sometimes it's just easier to sew velvet by hand. And I just have to remember that. So finally we got the belt done. Don't worry about it. We'll come back to that moment in a second. But here we have the bodice. Again, the instructions are a little bit like, hey, here's a suggestion of how to put it together. So I kind of just used my expertise and also kind of cut some corners and made it as easy as possible to achieve the look. And I think that we are off to a running start. Here's a pro tip. If you're going to do anything that requires a historical garment underneath it, like a corset or a specific kind of bra, especially in bridal, you want to wear the appropriate undergarments when you're fitting the dress itself. If I was just fitting this on my body without the corset, it would fit entirely differently. And honestly, if you've been in a bridal fitting, you know how it goes. You got to wear the right undergarments to make it look good. Because if you wear one bra in one fitting and then a different bra in another fitting, the dress is going to change. Anyways, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. All in all, I think that this looked really good. Doing fittings on myself are very difficult. I much so prefer to do them on other people. And then it was down to the finishing touches. We're just folding all of the seams over. It said that you could do a binding, but I didn't really want to ruin the look of this. And then it's a center front closure. Can you believe that? I was stressed about the pattern matching, but honestly, it looks gorgeous. And you know what? That beautiful velvet belt, it actually does cover up most of the garment. And then the rest of it will be covered by the ruffles that I'm currently working on. Did I mention that? All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Big day.